Alright, we've got a treat today. Could L catch Epstein? This is my type of video, I'm not gonna lie. I'm the target audience.
It would take L less than 5 minutes to solve the Epstein case, and that's me being generous. Let me break down exactly.
No, we already disagree. The IQ of L, and by the way, we have a lot of geniuses on the planet. You have people in China, not the stereotype. Oh my god, I instantly went to China, bro. Yeah, well, you have very smart people out there. Like, it's not the IQ that was the big difference. It's the fact that he was someone that is very smart, that had all the resources around him. Like, he had control of the police. If L just existed, he would not have known that Epstein was a PDF file. There's nothing inherently unique about L. He was a very smart person that had a knack for detective work. But if he wasn't in the position he was in with the resources he had, he would not be able to discover anything.
Why, and more importantly, how. Spoiler alert, I'm also going to bring up Light Yagami, so you absolutely need to watch till the end of the video.
Are you telling me Epstein is gonna be Light Yagami? Bro, hey, chill, bro. Maybe towards the end of it, because he did sort of turn into a demon, but what are you saying, bro?
First, we'll power scale L to understand the depth of his genius. You see, in the world of Death Note, the three greatest detectives on Earth, L, Geraldo Coyle, and Denev, are actually all the same person. And this man has been at the top of the global investigation scene since he was only 8 years old, which is when he single-handedly prevented World War III. Now, the public record says he solved over 3,500 difficult cases, but the real number is significantly higher because of those alternate identities. To give you an idea of the scale he operates on.
Okay, maybe I do take it back, but why did I watch a video that said like L's IQ is like 200 or something like that? And by the way, IQ I know isn't a very accurate measurement. For example, Mozart was a genius, but I doubt if he took an IQ test he would get very high on it. I think being a genius is just being really good at something, but human brains are so much more complex than matching shapes to what's the next number in the sequence. But L, I think if he really put his mind to it, he probably could have. But at the same time, like, what made L so special is that he could have this police unit, he could go undercover, he had the authority to do so. He just had information that was online, and he had to decipher that the world's most elite people are all in a sex trafficking ring. Like, I don't think he would have come to that conclusion.
Mello, one of his successors, once mentioned that L maintains at least triple-digit active codes for various detective personas. Still, if you want the one intelligence feat that's relevant here, it's this. Back when his rogue successor, Beyond Birthday, created a crossword puzzle so complex that an entire team of policemen gave up on it, and even the elite FBI agent Naomi Misora thought
Naomi Misora got them hips that don't lie, you get what I'm saying, bro? She's got them Shakira hips, bro. She's got that. What's the girl from, oh my god, what's the girl from One Piece called? Nah, I'm washed, bro. No, I'm actually washed. What the hell? Yo, I'm not even gonna Google it, bro. I'm just gonna sit in my shame.
it was designed to be impossible. L solved it instantly. And Beyond Birthday is not a fraud. He is the primary antagonist of the Los Angeles BB murder cases novel, and he's genius enough to act as L's evil clone. When he tried convincing Naomi that he was actually L, he read a 376-page book in under 5 minutes and memorized every page perfectly. Now,
okay, I do kind of take it back. I think he would have discovered that what the elites were up to, I guess. And spoilers, big spoilers, if you're actually like planning to watch Death Note, skip past 10 seconds if you don't want to get spoiled. After L died, bro, the whole show was ruined. They brought in two like little kids that are supposed to like replace him. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Okay, I said 10 seconds, so I'm gonna keep it brief.
if he's pulling off feats like that and L is superior to him, you can imagine what L's photographic memory looks like. So when I say L can solve the Epstein case in 5 minutes, I'm not being hyperbolic. If anything, I'm being conservative.
Okay, would he have solved it? Yes. 5 minutes, you're tripping. Like, if he had all the resources in front of him, but to go from, oh, I think this is what's going on, to proving it in 5 minutes is genuinely impossible. Especially if he had, like, a potato Wi-Fi like we've got over here. And you gotta realize he had a team behind him. Like, yes, he's a genius and he can make, like, crazy connections, but we're talking about somebody who flew under the radar with 8 billion people on the planet. 8 billion people he flew under the radar with. Like, it would take L a while, okay? It took him, like, 5 seasons to even, like, find out who Light Yagami was. Like, for God's sakes.
This man processes information faster than entire government investigative bureaus combined. He can monitor dozens of computer screens simultaneously and absorb every data point perfectly.
Damn.
Because he immediately understands every data point, he can weigh every probability in real time and calculate precise percentages in his head. But here's where it gets tricky. I'm sure that you can already tell that superhuman genius alone isn't enough to solve the Epstein problem. You see, L is a detective. Yes, he's the top one detective, but he's limited in what he can do. His whole thing is narrowing down suspects in closed systems. But how does that work with Epstein? The way Epstein operated has been well documented since at least 2005.
Damn, yo, the signs were all there. Like, when you look at, for example, the big D. I'm not even gonna say his full name. I know he's said Epstein like 20 times, so clearly YouTube doesn't care. But Diddy, for example, the signs were there when he went on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Diddy, come out, and the Boss music started playing, because I know it played in real time. It totally wasn't added after we realized who he actually was. He's like Snoop Dogg. The music just follows him. When the health bar showed up, whenever he was around kids, bro, like we should have known that was a red flag. Like, what are we doing? Now, but on a serious note, like when you look back, like a lot of his behavior was weird, but nobody makes the connection until after the accusations are made or after something was proven. It's crazy, and you guys, so a lot of people don't realize how much like influence Diddy had. Like, if you listen to a lot of past songs, a lot of them mention Diddy like he's some sort of like he's on the top of the pyramid. Like, wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Like, that's just a random unrelated song. Like, he used to be like at the top of the pyramid that is influence.
The real problem was never a lack of evidence. It was that too many people in power were either compromised or complicit. Having said that, let's see how this actually plays out. The year is 2005, March 2005 to be precise. A stepmother contacts the Palm Beach police because her 14-year-old stepdaughter came home with $300 in cash.
Palm Beach Pete. Hold up. The first case was in Palm Beach? Do not sue me, Palm Beach Pete. I know you're not actually Epstein, but I'm trying to make a bad joke here. But this was just happening in broad daylight. There's no way Epstein just gave a random girl $300. Like, what are we talking about? Like, he's not... I don't think he operated that way. I think he had people that worked for him that would scout people and take them to the island. And sometimes even under the parents' guidance. Like, the parents knew. They almost sold their siblings. But, like, I know a lot of people. Like, not a lot of people, but I know somebody in particular. I don't want to name names, of course. That told me that they were sold as a kid. Like, sold for, like, purposes that I'm not going to sit here and name. Like, this is a very real thing, bro. Like, some parents, and I hate to say it, but in some cultures it's more accepted than others, where selling your children is sort of more accepted. Not necessarily for organs. I know some places do that, but like selling them for like, oh, it's a heavy subject, and I don't want to talk about it. But I did want to throw that out there.
When she asked the girl about it, she ended up explaining the entire recruitment pipeline. Basically, a classmate had approached her at school and offered her money to give an older man a massage. The classmate drove her to a pink mansion at 358 El Brillo Way. Once in, Epstein entered wearing nothing but a towel. And I'll spare you the details, but to make a long story short, she walked away with $300. Now,
what? There is no way on God's green earth he was recruiting little girls in their schools. This is, I find this hard to believe, yo. Like, not to discredit the victims at all. Do not take me, do not get it the wrong way, but all the evidence we have against him is like people that recruited for him. Like, I heavily doubt Epstein had little people working for him, scouting and in schools for potential suspects, and then driving her over to his mansion. Like, that's so bait. I'm pretty sure he was like a pretty smart guy. He would never do something that stupid. But tell me why I'm wrong.
at first, this looks like a case of a local rich pedo creep. Nothing about it suggests you're dealing with a man who has billion-dollar financial leverage, a global contract list, and 2 decades of cultivating relationships with presidents.
Who was the girl that told her to go visit this person? That's what's really concerning. And wow, like the crimson chin over here. Save some chin for the rest of us, dude.
Presidents, royalty, and prosecutors. But by October 2005, Detective Rick Harry was interviewing victim after victim, and the pattern was identical every single time. Girls would get recruited by their friends. They'd be driven to the same mansion, asked to give a massage, but as you can expect, it would often escalate to God knows what, and then they'd get money. And here's the thing, once a girl was in, she was in. She'd be pressured to bring more girls, which is how the network just kept expanding, and Epstein was particular about them being young. So, okay, Rick Harry built his case methodically. He collected everything from property records proving Epstein owned the mansion, to flight logs showing travel between Palm Beach, New York, New Mexico, and Little St. James Island in the Caribbean, not to mention witness statements describing the same housekeeper, the same...
This was out in the open, dude. Like, oh my god, I did not know it was this bad. This was just straight up willy-nilly, just doing it in the open. How did they get away with this for so long? Like, I already thought it was much more sophisticated than this. I just never expected it to be this out in the open. Like, I thought there was some sort of planning or some sort of meticulous scheme behind it. No, he's just going to schools and just recruiting girls to come to the island. Like, what are we talking about, bro?
Recruitment methods, the same cash payments. He documented everything. By May 2006, Detective Joseph Rickeri submitted a comprehensive probable cause affidavit to the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office. It was the culmination of an 11-month investigation and clearly had overwhelming evidence for direct charges. But rather than filing charges based on Rickeri's affidavit, State Attorney Barry Krischer took the case to a grand jury, and the grand jury returned a very limited indictment. And as we know, it ultimately led to the controversial 2008 non-prosecution agreement. Now, why am I bringing all this up? To show you just how much was known even back in 2005. Plus, for this scenario, we're going to assume L gets a chance to look at Recari's affidavit in May 2006.
Yeah, the more I read into this, the more I 100% think Elle would have discovered this. Like, it was who didn't discover this? Like, in 2005, they all knew about it, just no one talked about it. It's not like there was a secret that way it was waiting to be uncovered. No, they had evidence of this. They had witnesses, they had victims. Like, this is just peak corruption. Like, corruption at its peak. Like, I'd expect this from, like, Ethiopia. No, not to throw shade at my Ethiopian brothers, but come on, your government is, like, corrupt as fuck. But America, like, really, nobody is safe, man.
We know the Death Note anime came out in October 2006, right? Well, even though the manga came out much earlier, for this scenario, let's just say that the main story of Death Note took place between 2006 and 2007. So this would be a few months before Light picks up the Death Note. And here is exactly how L solves it within 5 minutes. He goes through the affidavit, and immediately, within minutes, he solves the case. And I don't mean the way Recari did. No. L goes much deeper. He connects the dots and realizes instantly that Epstein's ring is global. He sees that it implicates a stupid number of powerful people. We're talking billionaires, government officials, presidents, royalty, and more. Plus, L also figures out that Epstein is systematically collecting blackmail material on all of these powerful figures for a specific country that just popped up in everyone's head. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into specific names or the countries involved to keep things straightforward for the video, but basically, L realizes that by 2006, Epstein had already been operating for decades. Most importantly, he understands that Epstein...
I find that hard to grasp. A lot of people forget that a lot of the richest people and a lot of the most powerful people are still human. Like, I can imagine, like, put yourself, because you're human as well, put yourself in the shoes of someone like a president. You have all this power, but what are you lacking? Like, you get accustomed to that power very quickly. You think of yourself, if I gave you $1 billion right now, you'd be happy for 2 weeks, then it would become the baseline. These presidents, okay, now I'm a president, I have a lot of power. What do I want now? What do I crave most? What can I not have? What I can't have is something that would tarnish my reputation. Now that I'm in a position of authority, I can't just go out to the club and hit on girls. And as I said, these people are human. Like, Bill Gates is a chud with money. Just like you, he wants women. Just like you, he wants respect. Just like you, he wants power. He's just as flawed as every single one of us. He just has a couple billion in the bank. He wants the same exact things you do. So I can 100% see the appeal Epstein had to these rich and powerful people. It is just so crazy to me that it took this long to uncover it. That's the only thing that's crazy to me. I'm not surprised at all that rich people would do this. I'm not surprised at all that famous people would be willing to go to an island like this and commit heinous crimes. At all. Not surprised. But the fact that it took us so long to uncover it just shows deep corruption that I never even thought could possibly exist.
Epstein currently holds more institutional power and protection than even he does. The #1 detective in the world. Naturally, this also confirms that the Department of Justice and the FBI he works as part of are compromised. This is where it stops being a detective case. You see, in Death Note, L commands Interpol, Japanese National Police, FBI liaisons, and the Kira Task Force. He has institutional authority, but that also means he needs the system to actually work with him. Now that same system is compromised and complicit, so if L plays by the rules, he'll get nowhere, which is why he has no choice but to take matters into his own hands.
And this is what I'm saying when I mean that it would take him longer than 5 minutes. He has no, like, backing. Like, one thing is to prove the case. Like, I think a conspiracy theorist can be right about something right now. I don't think he has enough proof to prove it. And what dictates whether it's proven or not? Whether someone gets convicted? Whether the court agrees with the evidence provided? Like, all of that does not take 5 minutes. So I think it was, like, sort of a good hook for a YouTube video, but obviously it would take a lot longer. And the fact that he has zero support, he's just some random guy that gets thrown in there, and he looks like a junkie, he looks like a drug addict, like, I don't think he would have any credibility. He would genuinely be a conspiracy theorist. It would take them at least a couple weeks to put him in, like, a cage and start studying his brain to try and clone him. But realistically, if he lived nowadays and he genuinely had, like, no power, no name, no nothing, I think he would genuinely be one of those people on TikTok that's recording videos, you should start mooning because your asshole doesn't get enough sun. Like, he would be one of those people. Drink your period blood because it's super nutritious. Like, he'd be one of them. We'd be looking at him like he's crazy.
The director of the FBI learns that L is looking into the files. L receives an invitation to Little St. James, the so-called Epstein Island. By this point, Epstein has owned this island for 7 years. All right, what now? L is invited. And if you think that's stupid, and you're wondering why on earth Epstein would invite a potential threat like L to his private island, you have to keep in mind who we're dealing with. This is the same guy who was revealing every bit of information about what he does over cheap.
Your friend Alien told me about the project she is doing researching a really bad guy that gets sent to his island. She almost fainted when I told her that person is me. There is no flipping way that he wrote this on Gmail. I mean, I know he had Bill Gates in the bag, but Bill Gates owns Microsoft, not even Google, so what am I talking about? This has to be for like a bit. This is Photoshop. shop.
Email, while most of you out here are using VPNs just to pirate some anime and games. Yes, elites aren't exactly high IQ. So once Epstein learns that the FBI's top detective is finally onto him, his first instinct is to simply invite the guy over. Of course, L knows exactly what the play is going to be, but he still goes ahead and accepts the invitation for two reasons. First, it's because even though he has a sense of morality and justice, his primary motivation is the desire to win, and because of that, he simply can't bring himself to back away from a challenge like this.
Yeah, I think even, obviously, if he's not going there to, like, indulge, but if you're an investigator and they invite you to the place that you've been investigating, like, what more could you ask for? I can get all the evidence I want, even if there's nobody there once I'm there. Why is there toys around? Why is there, like, help me with in spray paint on this wall over here? Like, you know, there would be a lot of evidence. It would be like a gold mine. And I struggle to grasp whether it was like a 24/7 party in there, or was it more of a seasonal thing? I don't think it was just running 24/7. But what I really wonder is, what did they do with those girls afterwards? You can't just send them home, can you? Like, they're people, they can talk. I know it's out in the open, but I think, like, if one of them posts a couple TikToks and some of them gain traction, you're screwed. Like, you can't hide that. Or maybe they could, man. I don't know. I don't know how deep it goes.
Second, it's because he can tell exactly why Epstein would invite him in the first place. Now, from the looks of it, it's Watari who makes the trip while carrying a laptop with L connected via voice chat. The second Watari steps off the helicopter, L starts cataloging everything. He notices right away that the staff to guest ratio is crazy. So there are dozens of employees just for a handful of visitors. He sees how every single sightline is controlled, how the security cameras monitor every guest, and how the entire environment is designed for observation.
That is so smart. That's the thing, bro. This is the thing that L would realize and the average person wouldn't. Yeah, why is there so many security cameras? Like, a lot of people never look up. Even in video games, like that one game where you're like this guy that can like spray paint himself and hide. No, usually nobody looks up. And in real life, that's true. Like, it takes you so long to realize there's a security camera sometimes. But looking around and realizing, okay, why do they need 500 different cameras on an island? Just an island with bricks and mortar. Like, why do they need so many security cameras?
And control. Epstein gives him the tour and then eventually offers Watari a drink. He accepts a glass of water, and after observing the glass for a split second through the screen, he takes a sip. They sit on the terrace, and at this point, Epstein just goes ahead and comes right out with what he's doing. He explains how he has the most powerful people in the world on camera, everyone from presidents and royalty to prime ministers, bankers, and scientists. Epstein leans forward, and as L sees the void in his eyes, he reveals that what he and his backers are ultimately seeking is control. Then Epstein extends his hand toward the laptop and offers L a chance to become an equal partner. He wants to use L's brain to help him expand his network so that they can eventually gain control of the entire world together. L remains completely calm while he processes Epstein's specific phrasing. And
I think the problem that really, like, Epstein faced and why it ultimately crumbled and failed is that, okay, you have blackmail on everybody, which sounds like it would be good for Epstein and the people that back him, but truthfully it's not. Because then it's like, okay, I'm exposed, but literally every other famous person is also exposed. Like, okay, I'm exposed, but my opposition's also exposed, so we're both in the bad. But if you had dirt on only one side, then at the same time that would cause the other side to want to expose the information even more. But at the same time, there is an argument to be made as to why that would also be, like, a lot more efficient, because one side or one group of people that are competing with the other group of people are going to be a lot more, like, careful not to let that information be exposed. And that doesn't just apply to politicians, that applies to billionaires, to actors, to people that work in tech, any competition.
Body language through the feed. He can tell that Epstein actually believes this, and that he truly wants to be the invisible hand moving civilization. He can also see that Epstein isn't afraid of him at all. If anything, Epstein is actually excited by him. Now, Epstein was clearly expecting some kind of a big response here, but L stays completely quiet on the voice chat. Then Watari walks back to the table, picks up a few wrapped chocolates, and puts them in his pocket. He just says, "I'll take some for the flight if you don't mind." And with that, he asks,
I would be so suspicious, like so suspicious if he starts taking chocolate. Like, I know your Batman's butler looking ass is not about to eat some chocolate, bro. Like, he's definitely gonna be analyzing the DNA, but that's so bait. I don't think L would actually do that. Like, he would be a lot more subtle about it. He wouldn't just go up to Epstein before he leaves and be like, yo, let me just take a couple chocolates so I can analyze the DNA of any potential young people who put their hand in there to take some chocolates.
A staff member to tell their helicopter pilot that they're ready to leave. The moment is so absurd and so deliberately anticlimactic that Epstein doesn't even know how to respond. He expects a negotiation or a rejection, or maybe even an acceptance. But in all the decades he has operated, he had never experienced a complete dismissal like this. He thought that since L already knew the truth, he could just offer him a partnership. But this is how it went? Little did Epstein know that the reason L didn't respond at the end was because the voice chat was actually a recording. I mean, did I mention that the helicopter pilot is actually L himself? He wanted to physically actually observe the island with his own eyes, so he tagged along disguised as the pilot. All the while, his voice recording kept Epstein occupied. Next, as the helicopter takes off, L looks down at the compound, shrinking below him. Okay, what now? If the FBI director is already compromised, and if Epstein's influence extends across multiple countries, how is L going to defeat him? It's a problem, especially considering how the...
I think the only way out is to bring it to the public's eye. Like, once people actually started talking about it. And if you can get your hands on evidence and release that yourself, which I think would be the difficult part, because if they can, like, hide the evidence, like, you're competing, I know it's L, but at the same time, like, hacking into the government database, I don't think is something he's willing to do. Like, we're talking about the most powerful government to ever exist. Like, they know how to keep information under wraps, which is ironic, because they literally released text files with blurred out information, and by blurred out, they just put black highlighter over it. So if you highlight it again and go remove the highlighter, you can literally see the information that was redacted. That was when it first dropped, the information. Like, we actually got idiots in power. People don't realize how dumb the people in charge are. Like, you think they're these overarching, like, overlords, but in reality, they're just idiots that have found their stumbled upon power. I'm not saying they're stupid, but they're human and they're flawed, and they make mistakes just like you do.
The longer it takes, the more Epstein's influence is going to grow. Plus,
okay, there's a pattern here, man. Like, 1 in how many people are like this bold, bro? Like, I'd have to say 1 in 5 people. I don't know if any of y'all are watching this and are like this bald. I'm kind of sussed out by you, twin.
Influence is going to grow. Plus, you have to remember this is still 2006, which is well before what happened in 2008. L knows that he has to act right away, so he decides to go all in on the affidavit. He realizes he has to crack everything Epstein has built to neutralize that influence, and that includes making the truth mainstream as early as possible. In our world...
Okay, the premise of the video was that he would discover it in 5 minutes. There is no way L teleported, talked to Epstein, hopped on the helicopter, teleported back, and exposed him in time. Like, yeah, I think we've ditched the idea long ago. But I don't think it would take him this long, to be honest. But there's so much bureaucracy that you can't just get things instantly done, especially if you're a normal person. I think he would have discovered what is going on. It would just take him a lot longer to prove it, and a lot longer to actually, like, get any actionable steps taken or any arrests being made.
World, it's taken until basically this year for the general public, especially in Western countries, to get a clear idea of what was really going on. But L needs to get it out within 20 hours.
Especially in Western countries? Bro, I don't think in Brazil they knew about Epstein before we did, like, respectfully.
Not 20 years. He starts by looking into potential
I know Brazil is technically a Western country, but I'm talking about, like, the free world. Let's use a better example, Kazakhstan.
Journalists who might already be onto Epstein. And while he's reading through the Miami Herald, he finds Julie K. Brown. She's already doing exactly what he needs. In reality, she's the one who eventually got the former police chief and lead detective to talk publicly about how the case was sabotaged. And her series, Perversion of Justice, was what explained how Epstein secured that lenient plea deal in 2008. Okay, so LC...
That genuinely baffles me. How? Like, that would expose so much corruption and so much of the methods used. Because this was the final boss. Like, they used every trick in the hat to not only make sure that he walks free, but also that it isn't exposed on a public level. Like, to bury it.
...her out immediately and shares everything he has learned with her.
Every trick in the book.
Now, L knows that journalists can only do so much. They publish, people read, and then what? Some victims might come forward, but many would be either too afraid or too deep into the system to go public. After all, Epstein reportedly used the phrase, "Those who help him will be compensated, and those who hurt him will be dealt with," to intimidate witnesses into staying quiet. What L really needs is to create an irreversible cascade of information that makes the truth impossible to contain. He begins gathering as much data as possible to build a web that includes all the records of flights on the Lolita Express, financial donations, and public photos. He makes notes on which individuals were likely there for business, as in financial or political leverage, and which were there for pleasure. Then, for every compromise...
Oh, I think it was a mix of both. Like, what do you mean who was there for what? And not to mention that if you went there, I'm pretty sure you knew what was going on. Like, even if you didn't participate, and this is why, like, it's sad to say, like, a lot of people are like, Michael Jackson went there to scuba dive. Like, as much as I love Michael Jackson, I think he got a hint of what was happening. And when did he die? Like, I think he came, like, pretty early on. He went pretty early on, like, before much of the things took place, I guess you could say, or before much of the elites went there after him. But still, I think especially the people that came later on, like, you definitely knew what was going on. Like, oh, I'm just just gonna go hang out with this guy on his island, that it's totally not suspicious that all these rich people with all the money in the world that can buy all the islands they want are gonna go there. And this is like quite literally proven. Like Elon Musk was begging to go. Like he wanted to go there and do the heinous things that they were doing. Like this was public knowledge to anyone in the inner circle who was in the know.
This official like the FBI director, L identifies a clean counterpart or a political rival who would love nothing more than to see that person burn. This is obviously easier said than done, and L needs help from hundreds of people like Reverie and Julie K. Brown, but once he has enough solid information organized into a digital web, he prepares to make it public through multiple channels. And here's where L's genius really shows itself. He knows that if he just dumps everything at once, the story would become too big too fast, and it'll be easier for the general public to dismiss it as a conspiracy. Plus, mainstream news outlets would get too many shutdown calls from their powerful friends. So L does something counterintuitive. When he's ready to release it, he intentionally leaves out the names of the most powerful people. The initial release focuses entirely on Epstein's trafficking and blackmailing ring, how it operates, how long it had been running.
No, I don't think that would get the most attention. Like, okay, oh, there was a trafficking ring. Like, there's a lot of those that happen, like, that don't involve elite people that get nowhere near as much attention. No, what would actually get attention is put the pictures out there. People are gonna say it's AI, especially nowadays, but we're assuming this was in 2009, 2010. Throw those pictures out there and say nothing, and then start a YouTube channel and actually answer those questions. What I would personally do is, like, I would release those photos if I could get my hands on the evidence. That's what's important, because the outrage only came after the photos were out there. Because a lot of people just want to believe what they're told. Like, it doesn't really clock to them until they actually see, like, cold hard evidence. Like the people telling me that this isn't true, there's a picture of them doing what with who. Like, that's what actually makes it click in people's minds. It's the photos, it's the shock value for everything. Like, especially in social media, this is so evident, but even outside social media, it all begins with a hook. You first of all need to demand their attention. Like, if you scroll on a TikTok, for example, you might not even realize this because it's become so commonplace, but next time you scroll on YouTube Shorts, scroll and see what the 2 seconds are like. More often than not, they're like just a hook. Like, it has nothing even to do with the rest of the video. Like, I watched this video of a guy trying to sell like these headphones for surfers, and the first 2 seconds were like something that was completely unrelated to the video. It was just there to grab your attention, because the more time you commit to a video, like the amount of people that are going to click off the video now is a lot less than the amount of people who clicked off within the first 5 to 10 seconds of this video. It's because the more time you commit, the more likely you are to stay. And this isn't just because the people that are watching now are more likely to be enjoying the content. It's also because there's a phenomenon where the more time you spend with something, the more likely you are to finish it. But that's beside the point. We're getting sidetracked here. First of all, you need to get the attention of social media, the attention of everybody. You post these pictures on your own page, and then you slowly start explaining.
And how girls were recruited at schools. The web mentions that powerful people were involved. It has to, just to explain the scale, but it doesn't name them. Again, this is to simply make sure that the initial wave of coverage focuses on the crime itself, rather than the politics of naming names. The media runs with it. Within 20 hours, the story stops being a local scandal and becomes global. And that's when L makes his second move. He sends anonymous emails to the rivals of every compromised official he's identified, and he sends them the full web. He just
Wow, that is genius. But the thing is, this is what I'm talking about. Like, everyone is compromised. Like, you're not gonna find rivals. Like, that is a really powerful thing you can do. Like, for example, Fox News is gonna defend somebody, and other news platforms are gonna defend someone else. So you give this information to the rivals, and then they carry it. But at the same time, you could just post it yourself, and they will write about it eventually. But I get what you're saying. This is very powerful.
gives them the truth and trust that enough of them, for enough different reasons, will act. Some will act because they have a moral compass. Some will act because they see a massive political advantage. And some will act simply because they're terrified of being implicated themselves. But even after that, L is just getting started. The next step is going directly after the names on Epstein's list. L anonymously sends a highly sanitized, encrypted message to a select few of the most powerful people on that list. Specifically, the ones he deduced were only there for business leverage. Since they were there for business, it's easier for them to talk their way out of the truly messed up stuff. So L's message to them is simple.
Did you really just put Bill Gates and say he was only there for business? Buddy, Bill Gates got STDs from being on the island. Are you saying that he did nothing? Hell no. He wasn't there to sell more Microsoft passkeys or passwords to activate your Windows for Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that's not what was going on.
Mr. Anonymous has all the blackmail material, and they
allegedly, in my opinion. Do not sue me, Bill Gates.
have to cooperate now, or it's a declaration of war. This is how L creates absolute paranoia to fracture the network from the inside. side. As much as L wants to destroy the system, he also wants to win his personal game against Epstein. And to do that, he first has to make Epstein a liability that the system he built can no longer afford to protect. Now remember how I mentioned that L is all 3 of the top 3 detectives in the world? That's not public information. To the public, the number 2 detective, Geraldo Coyle, and the number 3, Denev, are completely different people. It's a layer of anonymity that gives him 3 different lives to play with. Another thing to keep in mind is that the web L creates isn't on...
You know, it's really interesting, but there is someone very similar to L. I mean, you have CoffeeZilla, but CoffeeZilla is more like out there. Someone called Zach XBT. I'm not sure I spelled his name right, but he's like on Twitter, and he's like discovering things that authorities can't discover, like with crypto scams and whatnot. It's insane. Like, some people we really do have L's in real life. Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Like, there are geniuses just like L.
Omniscient. He doesn't have every single piece of evidence yet. He only has what he's seen or deduced. The real incriminating evidence only starts pouring in once the story becomes a global incident. Once every major news outlet is on it, the momentum moves faster than anyone can pay to make it stop. This is where L makes his move as Denev. He publicly announces that he was the one who leaked the web, and to protect himself, he reveals that he's created a dead man's switch. If he fails to check in once a day, a final unencrypted version of the entire Epstein network file will be automatically released to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency on the planet. He makes it clear to everyone who is complicit that killing him only makes it worse. And while this looks like an ultimatum, it's actually pure smokescreen to further crack the network. You see, Epstein knows L is behind this because everything started falling apart the moment L entered the chat. However, Epstein's acquaintances, the powerful men backing him, have a different idea. They are not going to go down with him, especially when they realize they can simply launder their crimes through Epstein. And L knows exactly what they're...
It's insane because we say, oh, L won. Maybe he won the game of, like, public attention, but literally, like, look at it now. We have all the evidence. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows who Jeffrey Epstein is. Nothing has happened. How many arrests have there been? 0. Like, did he really win? Like, at what costs? Okay, you proved your point, but nothing has happened. No justice has been brought to absolutely anybody. Like, it's just open air corruption. It's indefensible. Indefensible. So you might say that we won, but in reality, no justice has been brought. Nobody served time at all, and none of the victims have gotten any sort of closure because these monsters are still running around.
Thinking. In his room, he breaks down how Epstein's only utility to his backers was his ability to operate in the shadows. That utility is now gone. He's become a blindingly bright point of light in a scandal that threatens to engulf them all. And because of that, they won't protect him anymore. They'll make him the scapegoat and hope that his conviction calms the public outcry. And it works. Within a month of L getting involved, Epstein is convicted. And L doesn't stop there either. Over the next few months, he gradually releases information about the other offenders one by one and keeps the entire network in a state of terminal paranoia. Naturally, once it becomes clear that Denev would keep leaking information, regardless of whether he is dead or alive, the hits start getting called in. Multiple contracts are put out on both L and Denev. This is where
a lot of people say it's conspiracy theory, but JFK, like, can we all agree that he was genuinely assassinated? Like, not by just a random person who disagreed with him politically, but they wanted him dead. Like, some powerful people genuinely put a hit on him and killed the president of the United States. Like, it is not a coincidence that he was a controversial president that actually wanted to bring change instead of just rotting away for 4 years and not fulfilling any of the promises. Like, there's a saying in politics where it's under promise, overachieve. I butchered that, but you get the message. And if you're ever trying to keep something hidden, one of the best ways to keep it hidden is to just flood it with lies. If there's a truth and you want to hide it, flooding it with lies and conspiracy theories is the best way to mask it. Like, I do think some people were genuinely assassinated and some people weren't. But when you throw these lies out there, it's gonna make it more of a gray area. The path becomes less clear.
one of them seeks out the help of the world's second best detective, Geraldo Coyle. And of course, that is also L. To create a false sense of security, L uses his Geraldo Coyle persona to stage the deaths of both L and Denev. It creates a massive wave of public outrage. But the people who hired Coyle are satisfied. But they're wrong. As more arrests are made and the power shifts to the clean counterparts L identified earlier, the old guard begins to lose their grip. Still, many offenders remain untouched because, as a certain student in Japan would say, this world is rotten. And speaking of that student, this is where things peak.
Yeah, I was gonna ask where Light Yagami comes in, but apparently he comes in right at the end, just for like the sakes of it. He had no involvement in the whole story, but probably for good reason. Even though, like, depending on how you view the show, he sort of did turn into like the villain, almost like Eren Yeager. I wouldn't want to label any of those guys a main character.
About half a year after L visited that island, Light Yagami picks up the Death Note. At this point, the Epstein list is public knowledge. It's the biggest story in the world. So after Light tests the notebook, he starts writing the names of every offender on that list. He strikes his classic pose, looks out over the city and says to himself, "This world is rotten." And
Alright, why are we fantasizing right now? What are we doing? Is this foreplay? Like, what are you talking about? Strikes his classic pose. What does this have to do with the big Stein?
those who are making it rot deserve to die. Someone has to do it, so why not me? By the end of 2006, the Epstein network was neutralized. Heart attacks for those who were already on trial. Car accidents, overdoses, apparent suicides. One by one, the names on the list dropped dead. Epstein's actual backers, the ones for whom he was doing the blackmailing, watch in frozen terror as everything they've built over decades now dies for no explainable reason. Finally, from an unknown location, Elle watches the news as a reporter announces yet another unexplained.
What do you think it is that like first crumbled to for now like Israel to like get the scrutiny that it's now getting? Like I do think, as I said, some of it is true, but the best way to hide what's true is to flood it with lies. But what was it the turning point? Because up to a certain point you weren't allowed to say anything. You would lose all your influence, all your sponsors. Like what was the straw that snapped the camel's back? Was it really the genocide that's happening? Is that what like made it snap for people?
Heart attack of a high-profile figure. He reaches for a sugar cube as he tries to make sense of it. Someone is cleaning up Epstein's mess with a power that Elle doesn't understand. This leads us into a version of Elle versus Light that we've never seen before, because this time Elle may just agree with Light.
Damn, W video, man. If you guys enjoyed, subscribe. I post bangers like this every day, and yeah, peace.